September 23rd. Welcome to the first contest of the new club year. I'm Mike Thomas. I'm your host for the evening. And I think we have everything working now. So we'll get started. But the last thing I have to get started is I have to get Lightroom actually up and running. So we're going to move into announcements while I do that. All right, so we're on announcements. Michelle, can you talk about some of the upcoming field trips?
Sure, Mike. So we have a field trip that is actually coming up this Friday, which is Friday, September 25th, which is the World War II DC flyover at the National Mall area. You guys should have received a link in your email about a week or so ago. It'll have the flight path and things associated with the flyover, so you can go check that out. We also have a gathering coming up this Saturday, the 26th, which is going to be at Lake Waterford Park. It's going to be a meet and shoot. We encourage non-members to attend and meet other members. Right now, there's just a handful of us that's coming, but please make sure that you message me, email me, call me, text me if you're coming. That way we know how many people we will have. Also, bring your chairs, bring your cameras, bring your lunch. We will provide charcoal for anybody that wants to cook over the grill. I just need to know if you're interested in doing that, so that way we know we have enough with us. Next Wednesday, the 30th, your photos are due for your September photo assignment, which is your favorite drink. And then we have coming up here in October, we'll have a new photo assignment coming up in October, which we'll talk about next week. And then on October 17th, we have a field trip to Spokot Windmill in Cambridge, Maryland. I'm also going to add Blackwater Wildlife Refuge to that, since we're going to be probably about 15-20 minutes from there. And keep in mind, this is the only day that the windmill will run for the rest of this year. It only runs 2 days a year. And then the only other thing for October would be October 22nd for Brian Baru's fundraiser night. They have graciously allowed us to do our fundraiser again from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. that day. You can come in and dine. It's first come, first serve. There's no reservations, or you can also order online and mark it for Arundel Camera Club that evening, and we will get credit for it, and you can do curbside pickup. But that is all I have as far as field trips, Mike. So I will pass it back to you.
Thanks, Michelle. So next week, September 30th, Brian Flynn, one of our club members, will be giving a talk on Can Photography Help Guide Us Through the Chaos and Crisis. Everyone hopefully knows Brian, but those of you that don't, Brian is a publisher with multiple books that he's put out that combine photography and some of his experience and expertise. All of those books are sold out in collector's items now. He's a musician, and he served crisis management. These are my words, not his. He'll have to explain it to you, for the Surgeon General's office until he retired. And I think he still consults, and they've been still leveraging his skills throughout the current crisis we've been dealing with. October 7th, as Michelle said, is our photo assignment discussion on our favorite drink. Those photos are due next Wednesday on the 30th. Send them in. We'll chat about your photos. And for paid club members, the best photo of the night will get a certificate. October 14th, Don Rosenberg will be dialing in remotely to give us a talk on abstract photography. Certainly one of his skills, not his only one, so that should be a pleasure. And I think that covers most of the announcements. We will move on to the NPA announcements. Hey, Ron, are you online? Can you give us an overview of the Maryland Photography Alliance upcoming events?
Sure, I've got a couple of things to share with you. One of those is, hopefully everybody knows by now, the Odyssey of Light is scheduled October 17 and 18. If you haven't gotten your tickets for that, if you buy them without the special purchase code, for Arundel Camera Club, and you buy it as a non-club member, you're going to end up paying $49 for the 4 speakers. If you buy it with the Arundel Camera Club code, it's like 29, so it's a $20 reduction in the cost. Should be a good deal. That's the 17th and 18th. We have about 250 people signed up for it already. They're signing up from all over the country. This has kind of gotten to be relatively widespread. 4 speakers, there'll be 2 of them on Saturday. Eileen Rafferty on black and white photography. Stephen Johnson on the 17th also, who many of you know. He's a Canon Explorer of Light. And then on Sunday morning at 9, we have Christy Odom, who's does a terrific wildlife photography. I think you'd really enjoy her. Many of you know Ian Plant. Ian is on at Sunday at 10:30, and making ordinary extraordinary. So those are the 4. There are a lot of freebies and so on and so forth. It's a good deal. So if you haven't signed up for it now yet, go look at the Arundel Camera Club post from me or from Mike and sign up. I'll send out one more email reminder this week that you can look for. Second thing is Artist Spotlight. We're not going to be running Artist Spotlight sessions for a while until we get past the Odyssey of Light. Maybe we'll start that up a bit in November. We just want to be able to have something out there for people who are not being able to get access to some pretty cool stuff, and there are plenty of speakers who are willing to do this for a relatively reasonable fee for us. So anyway, they're coming up, and just check your Facebook feeds on that. Let's see what else. Also on Facebook feed, I noticed the Baltimore Camera Club has on October 1st, 8 p.m. a webinar jam with Valerie Jardin, who's a French photographer, Jardin, and she's a black and white photographer. So I think it's very well worthwhile. It's a freebie. That's on a Thursday night. Wouldn't conflict with our club. Last thing, Mike, this is for you and also for Cheryl Kerr. She is on. Remember way back we had our camera club. We had the MPA photo contest in the summer, and we announced the winners in August. You and Cheryl from our club won. There may have been some others, but I remember I saw yours in the list. We are going to have a display in at the House of Delegates office building like we did last year. So you might think about getting your image all ready for that. That'll come up in a couple of months, so you have plenty of time. Last thing I wanted to mention that MPA did set up a photo shoot at Blackwater back in earlier part of September. And among the people who were providing technical help was Cheryl Kerr. And many of you don't know many of you know her interest in astrophotography. So she was one of the 3 or 4 people that were assisting with that shoot, and has been really helpful in that particular activity. It was partly sponsored with Tidewater Camera Club with us. So anyway, that's the main part of our updates for the MPA for the time being. Hope to see a lot of you with the Odyssey of Light. And by the way, the Odyssey of Light, if on the 17th and 18th, you don't think you can sit through all 4 of those, 2 in one day and 2 on another, that's a lot. If you sign up for it, you'll also get a ticket afterward that you can watch these things anytime within the 30 days subsequent to the 18th and 19th. But that's only if you pay to see these. And last but not least, the Artist Spotlight. If you want to look at any of the past programs, they are free. They're on the links to them are on our MPA website. Just look for Artist Spotlight, click on that bar, go to that page, scroll down to the artist you'd like to watch, click on the button, and you're in. It's runs through YouTube, so that'll be a ongoing resource as we hope to build up some of our programs on there for you. And sorry, it took a little bit more time than I thought, Mike. So I'll hand it back to you.
Hey, Ron, thanks. Michelle, thanks. Appreciate all the help with the announcements. So let's get on to the main event for the evening. So Our judge tonight is Greg Holden. Greg is joining us all the way from Denver, Colorado. He is a recent immigrant from Maryland to Colorado. I think he's upgraded. Uh, he uses his photography to share with others how he sees the world. He was a regular speaker and judge in the local area throughout Maryland, Virginia, D.C. He'd been to our club before. He prefers to create interesting photos that make you think rather than pretty pictures. You can see Greg's work on his website, www.imagesunderfoot.com. Greg, you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting me back. And I'm glad that with this new virtual realm that we can still connect, even though we're 20-hour drive apart.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate it. It's COVID clearly a crisis and no fun, but we have been able to bring some friends in from afar. So both club members and speakers and judges. So that's been a good thing during the crisis. Everyone's been very willing to share their knowledge, time, and expertise with the photography community. All right, let's see. I'm going to bring up Lightroom.
And I think so everyone's aware, I did get all the photos ahead of time to look at on my screen. Colors and everything looked pretty good. I know you can get some calibration differences across screens, but they all look pretty good to me. So I've already had an advanced look at all the photos.
Yeah, so we do that because we don't want to rely on Facebook, StreamYard, Zoom, whatever, to broadcast the photos in all their glory. We want the judge to see original file. And so that way he gets to see the best image, the best version of your image for the contest. So tonight
I also get to cheat and zoom in a little bit and look at some finer details in some photos.
Peeping, no pixel peeping. No, remember, this is normally projected up on a screen. All right, so we're going to start with our, remember tonight, instead of just doing our normal digital contest, we've broken it up into two separate sets of contests. We're going to have monochrome digital, and we're going to have color digital, and then we're going to have both novice and unlimited. Now, normally we just have one big digital contest, but we decided to break it up because we've lost our print contest because we can't meet in person. So we're going to start with our novice monochrome. We have 10 images, so we'll want a first through fourth and one honorable mention. So we're going to start with the smallest pile for you to sort through. Each image is numbered so we can stay in sync. I'm going to go through each of the images for the club members and read out their titles, and then we'll go back through and look for some constructive criticism.
Great, sounds good.
Great. The first image is called At Bat. Second image is Cleome. I'm probably mispronouncing that. The third image is Currents at Sunset. The fourth image is Inlet Waves. The fifth image is Metal Roses. The sixth image is Moon. The seventh image is Mystery Flower. The eighth image is Night Heron in Flight. The ninth image is Puddle Dance. And the 10th image is Tiny Pink Rose. All right, we're going to go back to the beginning and we'll let you start giving some constructive critique, and we can start in and outing them as we do so.
Okay, great. So this first image, At Bat, I'll call out the titles too, just make sure we stay in sync. So At Bat, so I really like this one. It's really nice composition. The The tonal range is pretty good for a black and white image. I like how there's a slight bit of blur to the bat and the wiffle ball, showing that they are in motion and they weren't, the ball wasn't photoshopped in there later. I do like it overall. I think two little things I would just comment on. The one is the background, the top third of the image, where the kind of wiffle ball is pacing through in the head of the child. It's a little bright for me. If you could tone that down just a little bit, it would help make that wiffle ball pop out a little bit more. And I almost wish he'd waited just like another half a second for his bat to maybe be swinging a little bit more towards the ball. So I don't think it's as Henry would say, the decisive moment. I think you capture it right before it. But still, it's a really nice image, so we'll keep this one in.
All right. We'll go to the second image.
So this one baffled me for a second. I suspect it's an infrared shot. I do have an infrared converted camera. I do some of that. So I suspect that's how this was taken, or could have been done post-processing. One of the things I find with the infrared images, if that's in fact what this is that I don't get even tonal range across the image sometimes. And so we're seeing that here in this image, where the upper right half corner of it is bright, it's fine, but then the left side corner is a much darker tone. And it's a little unsettling for me that we have that kind of dichotomy there. You often hear the phrase of, photography rule number 1, don't put the horizon right in the dead center. So here, if you were to extrapolate on that rule and put it on a diagonal, you'd see that the upper right half of the diagonal is kind of bright, and the lower half of below that diagonal is darker. And so I don't really like that division like that. It's an interesting idea, interesting attempt, but I think it needs a little bit more work, or maybe a little different composition. So I'm going to take this one out.
All right, number 3, currents at sunset.
So this is a nice image. We have a good tonal range for black and white. One thing with this is I don't think you need the sky in this one. I know you maybe trying to give it a little bit of a sense of all the place and stuff like that, but I think we've all been to the beach and we can kind of tell there's the waves crashing on the beach and stuff like that. And there's nothing really interesting going on with the sky. It's just gray with a little bit of a tonal range there. But I don't think you need that. I think you could, if you had cropped or angled your camera down just a little bit, and I would taken out probably all of that sky and put a little bit more space at the bottom, so that darkest part of that lower sand dune was not going directly into the corner. I think it would have made a little bit more compelling image. As it is nice. I like the light, the setting sun reflecting on the water and then into the tidal pool there. So overall it's nice, but I think you could have improved it just a little bit with slightly different composition, but we'll leave this one in for now.
All righty. Fourth image, inlet waves.
So there's a couple of there's 2 variants of this in this competition. So I'm guessing some photographers went on a trip together to the same location. This one, I think it's a neat idea with having the jetty leading line into the interesting, I guess it's some sort of light fixture at the end there to warn people where the jetty is. And you see like a little fisherman and stuff like that. I think that as far as the black and white, you've done a good job of having some really dark blacks in the jetty, but also controlling your whites in the surf. So I think you've done a good job with the black and white conversion. For me, I think I don't think you need as much jetty as you've shown here. I think if the light fixture at the end of the jetty had been more interesting, or the fisherman had been more prominent, it might have been better. I think for me, I would crop in a lot tighter on this and take out at least a third, if not half of that jetty. I don't think you need that. I feel like I'm getting a conflicting, what is the subject here? Is it this jetty leading to this light fixture, or am I supposed to be focusing on the fishermen at the end, or the waves crashing up at the end of the jetty? So it feels like it's kind of like two pictures mixed together for me. And so whenever I have a picture like that, I always think, when in doubt, crop in tighter. So I think this one needs to be in tighter. And it's not razor sharp, but I may take it out for those couple reasons.
All righty. Fifth image, metal roses.
So this one is interesting too. I was kind of curious as to what this is, maybe some type of glass plate or something like that with etching in it. But anyway, this one, I think the composition is off. Much like the one I talked about before, where you could kind of divide the image in half. If you draw a straight line down through the center of the image, you kind of have one image on the left as the two very prominent flowers there. And then on the right, you have the kind of three smaller flowers. I think with the arrangement you have, it just doesn't gel enough for me. You get a lot of bright dead space in between the flowers there in the center of the image. And I think it draws my eye to those brighter parts versus kind of focusing on the flowers. So I think to me, I think the image is just that left half of the image with just those two etched flowers. So I think this one's a miss for me. I'm going to take this one out.
All right, number 6, moon.
And so this is a good attempt at the moon. I know it can be challenging to get a good clear night of the moon and get a sharp enough image. And the photographer here has done a pretty good job. I'd call this a sharp enough image. I can definitely see the different craters and stuff on the moon, and a lot of the details. It's not razor sharp, and maybe I'd like a little bit more contrast, maybe make the moon just a little bit brighter. It is kind of gray, and if you're not having any stars or anything else around it you're trying to balance, I'd rather see that moon a little brighter in the picture here, just so I can appreciate it a bit more. But overall, I think it's a nice attempt at a moon shot. So we'll leave this one in for right now.
Image number 7, mystery flower.
So this looks like this is taken at, I guess, indoors, maybe at this your personal flower or something like that. This one has what we call a dappled light on it. It's kind of mixed. It's got some bright spots, got some dark spots, got some in-betweens. And that, to me, usually that doesn't work. But I think in this case, it does add a little bit of interest to the flower. And maybe that kind of goes to the title of the image there, the mystery flower. The couple issues I have with this one is if you really want to focus on the flower, I like the lighting on the top third of the image, the bits of plant in the background that are, they're there, so it's not jet black. I can see kind of context, but they're not distracting. Versus the lower left corner has some bright leaves, maybe from another plant. And I think if you're doing something like this inside, presumably where it's your plant and you can move stuff around, I try to declutter it a bit and take out some of those bright things in the lower left corner. Same with the right side. I can see like another flower pot or something like that over there. I'm seeing a bright spot on the floor, the wood paneled floor. And all those things tend to be very distracting. It makes the image a little bit too cluttered. So if this is your flower and you can redo this, I think you could just take a couple of those things in consideration, reshoot this. And I think this could be a more interesting image. So we're going to take this one out.
All righty. Number 8, night heron in flight.
So here's birds in flight are hard. When I first started off in photography, I saw all these great images and I strive to be like those other photographers. I gave up after the first year. I haven't done birds in flight since, and that was 15 years ago. It is a very challenge to get a good bird in flight. And I think the photographer here has done a decent job. I like the wing position of the bird. Bird is not razor sharp, but I'd call it sharp enough, especially for novice class. I like that's kind of a darkened background with the dark water. I think that plays well with the tonal quality of the bird in this black and white image. My only real pet peeve about this one is that bright streak down the center, which I guess is a reflection from some light or maybe the setting sun. The bottom half of the image where the reflection is not too bad. It's there. It adds some interest to the photo, but it's not distracting. Versus the top center, it's particularly bright. It's actually, I think, the brightest white in the entire image. So my eye keeps wanting to be drawn to that bright white spot at the top center. So that's unfortunate because that takes me away from the subject, your bird. So I think that's something easily fixed in post-processing. You could darken that down a little bit. But overall, I think it's a really good job at a bird and play. Like I said, better than I've done because I gave up on it. So we'll leave this one in for right now.
All righty. Next picture is number 9, puddle dance.
All right, so this one's, I think it's creative attempt. I think there's a few things that I would maybe like different. I like the position of the right foot with the shadow or the double exposure, I should say, of the second foot. I think that's good. It's the left camera left or photo left, the subject's right foot, photo left. I don't like that the double exposured foot is at such a strong angle, almost at a right angle to the other one. I would have liked to have it a little bit more in line, kind of with the foot on the right. Also kind of disturbing is that I see this, the first image is this very dark leggings that the person's wearing, but then in the double exposure, they're so faint. And I guess I would have liked to have them a little bit more even toned, much like the two shoes on each foot are kind of even toned. So I think it's a clever idea, but I think you could try a few things differently and work on this concept more. But it's definitely got me thinking, which is good for a judge to get them thinking. So we're going to take this one out, but I think you're on a good idea here, so just continue at it.
All right. Our 10th and final image, tiny pink rose.
So I think the title of this is humorous because obviously being monochrome, I can't appreciate that it's a pink rose. The photographer's done a good job here with the close-up of flowers. I think they've gotten it pretty sharp. I like the kind of tonal range across the flower. It's nice. I would have preferred the water droplets on the bottom there to be a little bit sharper, but for novice class, I think this is really good job. It is a little tight as far as cropping. If you notice at the bottom, that most lower petal has a little bit of space to the edge. I'd like to see about that same amount of space on the petal on the right and the petal on the top. Because right now the right and the top side seem so cropped in super tight. I'd like to have a little bit more breathing room there. Also, on the left side, I think they've done a good job controlling the lighting on whatever plants in the background so it's not too distracting. But there is a couple of bright spots, one kind of oval-shaped spot and then more of a white streak. If you could, I'd try to tone those down so that they were not pulling my eye away, being kind of bright spots, just so they kind of blend in with the rest of it. But overall, I thought this one was a really good job. I kind of like the off-center composition versus having it dead center. I think that adds some interest. So we'll keep this one in.
All righty. So you needed 5 and you have 5.
Look at that. How amazing. All right. So I can just, we said first through fourth and one honorable mention.
Yep.
So the honorable mention will go to the moon. And fourth place will go to the current at sunset. That's third. I'm sorry, that was fourth place, yes.
Yep.
And then let's see, third is going to be Third will be the moon.
Oh, you've already made
Oh, sorry.
the moon honorable mention, didn't you?
Sorry. Is the bird in flight is third? Sorry, let me highlight these so I know which ones I've talked about. And then second place is going to go to the Pink Rose, and that'll make the boy at bat first place.
All right. So let's, of course, everyone's already heard it, but we'll go through it again just to make sure everyone got it. The results of our novice monochrome tonight, honorable mention for Moon to Ed Nahanke. We've got fourth place to Currents at Sunset by TJ, and I don't have the key in front of me, so I don't remember what TJ's name is. My apologies. I'll have to figure that out in a second. Third place goes to Night Heron in Flight by Julie Bennett. Second place goes to Tiny Pink Rose, also by Julie Bennett. And fourth place, ta-da, At Bat by Paul Wilcox. Yay! That's our results for the novice monochrome. All right. We'll go set up for the unlimited monochrome. And all right, so for unlimited monochrome, we've got a little harder job for you. We have 29 images. So we're going to have first through fourth and 3 honorable mentions.
All right.
All right.
That'll give us a little more breathing room.
All right.
I'll let you run through them.
All right. First image is Antique New York Tractor. Second image, a round marble carving. Third image, Bathing Beauty. Fourth image, Canyon Rim. Fifth image, Chaotic. Sixth image, Chop Tank Lighthouse. Seventh image, Diala. Eighth image is DC Building Angles. Ninth image, Desert Oil. 10th image, Daphanius Angel. I am probably not saying that right, my bad. 11th image, Down on the Farm. 12th image, Drats. 13th image, Floor Panorama Flip. 14th image is Great Falls. 15th image, Keeping Watch. 16th image, Nude in Tub. 17th image, Nude. 18th image, Ocean Rescue. 19th image, Onion. 20th image, Passing Under the Bridge. 21st image, Sounds of Peace. 22nd image, Standout. 23rd image, Stormy Morning at the Inlet. 24th image, Stretching Out. 25th image, Tree BMA Side. 26th image, Watermill. 27th image, Wild Salsify. 28th image, World War II Memorial Annapolis. And our 29th image, Yana. All right, that's what you've got to work with. We'll go back to image number 1.
All right, well, really great variety in this set of open. You never know what to expect with open. I was happy to see some portraiture and even some implied, I'd call them implied nudes. But anyway, because I do that kind of work. So for this first one, the antique tractor. So I like the composition of this. I think the photographer did a really good job making sure that the smokestacks coming out of the front of the tractor, as well as the wheel and the seat, are kind of clearing the trees in the background, so we're not getting mergers, so that they can kind of stand out. So that was a really good job there. I think the tonal range across the image is nice. I think that the two things are a little unsettling for me. The one is it's not super sharp, and I see that especially on the front half of the tractor. Some of the finer details of the whatever threshing machine or whatever is attached to it is just not as sharp as I would have liked. The second thing is it looks to me like the horizon is straight, but this tractor is parked on a slight uphill slope. So to me, I feel like the tractor's leaning. Well, because it is, because it's on a slope. And I guess for something like this, it's more of a graphic shot, especially when it's a monochrome image. I'd rather have it straight on and level. Now, obviously, you probably didn't have that option to go move the tractor. So you're working with what you got. But overall, it's a good image. It's interesting. A lot of nice kind of patterns to the tractor. So we'll leave this one in for now.
All right, we'll move to the second image, a round marble carving.
So I had to stare at this one for a while, try to figure out how this was created. But it's very interesting with this distorted face, almost like taking in a fun mirror or something like that. So not quite sure how it was created, but very interesting to look at. Some people might be disturbed by this or put off by it, but I found it very interesting. So I thought there was a really good job there. The only thing I didn't care for about this image is I think it needs to be cropped a little bit off the left. I don't think we need to see the back of the head of the sculpture. I would have rather seen that kind of curve that starts on the chin on the right side of the image kind of end right behind the ear on the left side of the image of the face and profile. So I think it needs to be cropped in just a little bit on the left. I think the top and the bottom are fine. So I would just change your aspect ratio a little bit. But very interesting image. So I like it. Let's keep it in.
All right, image number 3, Bathing Beauty.
All right, so this is a really excellent portrait of a little kid, little girl. I have a similar shot of my son about this age with that kind of head tilted to the side, and the eyes looking right at you, so full of wonder. So this is a really nice image. You've done a really good job controlling the light of the scene, getting some light on her face so she's not shadowed from the hat, but controlling the whites in both the bow on her hat as well as the bow on her top. So really good job exposure control. I like the tight crop. how you've done it and cropped off little parts of the hat. So we really focus on the face. So you're really well done. We'll keep this one.
All right. Image number 4, canyon rim.
So I love these kinds of trees. I think they're called like bristlecone pines or something like that. They're all over the Southwest. They're all these gnarly looking trees. So it's a nice composition. I like this tree and how the branches are not, you've gotten a good angle so the branches aren't overlapping each other. You can really appreciate the look of this tree, the texture, the kind of arms of the tree reaching out. For me, it's a little heavy-handed on the processing. And I know that's it's personal preference. And some people want this kind of more dark, moody, mysterious kind of look. And so go a little heavier on the processing than I would. So I think that's just a matter of preference. But when you do that heavy processing, you start to lose some of the detail, gets a bit what we call grungy. So especially on the lower left there, the grasses and stuff just really look pretty cringy. And to me, I think that detracts. I almost wish someone obviously with this much abilities in post-processing, I would rather you just blur that significantly. So really the only texture that's really jumping out at me is just the tree. So I'm not distracted by those fine details in the grass, which my eye keeps getting drawn to. I'm not sure if the sky was added in or not. The edge right to the left right in the center looks a little unnatural to me, almost like there was a sky replacement done here. But the sky is interesting, definitely adds to the mood of this photo. We'll leave it in, but I'm not sure how it will flush out in the end.
All righty. Image number 5.
So this is really nice. At first I thought this image was somehow distorted, like a Salvador Dali painting or something like that, but I don't think it is. I think that's just the type of plant this is. So really well done on the tonal range. And you'll notice I talk a lot about tonal range, and I studied a lot of black and white photographers. And one thing I found that is appealing to me, at least, and what others have said makes for a good quality black and white monochrome image, is you have to have some really jet blacks in your image, as well as some bright whites, and then a good range of grays in between. So this is a good example of that, where we're seeing some bright whites and some blacks. I think they've done a good job controlling the background. I wish on the right side of the image that some of that other plant or whatever is there on the right, immediately to the right of the main leaf, I wish that was toned down a little bit to almost kind of the same tonal value as what we're seeing at the bottom, because it's just a hair distracting. But overall, it's a nice image and good composition, a creative view of this type of plant. So we'll leave that in.
All righty. Image number 6, Chop Tank Lighthouse.
So this is neat. I think I've been to this lighthouse back when I lived in Maryland. I don't remember there being a boat there. So I think the boat adds a nice addition to the image. This is a good black and white. For me, I think my concern is that we basically have the horizon right dead center, right? The top half of the image is the lighthouse as you saw it, and then the bottom half of the image is reflection. And I guess you're breaking photography rule number 1, don't put the horizon in the center, which it's more of a guideline, I guess, than a rule. But I think to me, I don't need all that reflection. The reflection isn't all that impressive. I don't think you need the whole thing. I'd rather see you crop out half of that reflection. If it had been a perfectly mirrored image, that would be one thing. But since it's just a distorted view because there's motion in the water there, I think just if you crop out maybe the bottom half of that reflection, you'd still get the idea that there's a reflection there, but then that would keep emphasis on the lighthouse at the top that's well lit. I'd also probably darken those stairs on the left side of the lighthouse, because my eye's drawn a little bit to that. I'd rather keep it focused on the main lighthouse. But overall, a good attempt, but I think it needs a different crop. So we're going to take this one out.
All right, image number 7, Diala.
So this is a well-done image of a flower. I'm usually not a fan of a flower just kind of floating in space where you can't see the stem or any of the background. But in this case, I like what you've done here with it kind of just fading into white around the edges. So I think that works a lot better than had this been, let's say, a jet black background. So you really created, the photographers really created some interesting tonal variations across the flower, from the dark at the center, kind of fading into that bright on the edges, and that's really nice. It seems to be pretty sharp, and I think it's just a well done overall flower photo. So we'll keep this one in.
Image number 8, DC building angles.
So I love taking this kind of photos where you find these buildings with great architectural elements and kind of crop in to just emphasize the angles and the lines and stuff like that. So this one's really well done. I like you've done a good job of having the jet black, so those diagonal lines, but then still having the full range of whites to grays. For me, I think the issue, again, it's a cropping issue for me, where we kind of have half the image is the angled side of the building, and then half the image is the squared off rectangular panels. And I guess I would have rather you seen the photographer pick one or the other to be more dominant. I think for me, I would have taken maybe half of the right part of the image off of those gray panels. So that was only a third of the image, and then 2/3 of the image was the diagonal part. I think that would go into that whole rule of thirds with 1/3, 2/3. I think that might have made for a little bit more compelling image than this kind of half and half that we have here. But overall, even as it is, and maybe you could call that personal preference, but even as it is, it's a well done monochrome kind of graphic image. So we'll leave this one in.
All right, image number 9, desert oil.
I'm leaving way too many in. We're in trouble. So this one's interesting. I like that the photographers found this large collection of silos out in the southwest somewhere, and very interesting cloud pattern. So much like the bristle clone one, we have some kind of heavy handing with the process on this one, but I think for this case it works. I like it. I think the silos by themselves are semi-interesting, but adding some of that kind of heavy processing with the slight sepia tone, I think adds a little something in this particular instance, where it's taking something more kind of ordinary and elevating it to put your artistic stamp on it a bit. And I like how you've gotten the two prominent silos on the left are breaking the mountain range in the back, so we're not getting a merger there. So overall, I think this one's good. My only one tiny critique would be that on the right side, I wish that large silo wasn't right up against the edge. I wish there was just a little bit more there. Given the crop, unless this was a pano and this is how it was shot, if the photographer has a little bit more space in the original file on the right, just give it a hair more. I don't think it needs too much, but just a little bit more breathing room on the right, just because that right silo is so big and prominent in the frame. I like to have it give a little bit more breathing room. But overall, very interesting interpretation of what many people probably think is somewhat ordinary scenes. We'll keep this one in.
Image number 10, Diaphanous angel.
We'll just call it angel because I can't pronounce that first word either. I only got a C in English in high school, so. I like the crop of this with the composure of the model with the wing, and you can kind of see the angel wing or whatever she's wearing through the tool, I guess it's called. Personal preference, I'm not going to knock you in from a judging standpoint, but personal preference, I don't like that it's a very muted palette. Not that it has to be strong blacks and whites like some of the other higher contrast images we've seen. I just think it needs to be just a little darker. So, to me, it seems a little too washed out with the tonal range that you've selected. Given that this is a model, I'm assuming, model and not a visitation you had in the middle of the night, assuming this is a model and you had some control over positioning and stuff, I'm not a big fan of that white streak, which is really, it's just a fold of the fabric, the tool that's in front of her. I'm not a fan of that white streak going right through the middle of her eye. Would prefer that it was to the left or to the right of at least the pupil of the eye. It's all right if it crosses the eye, but I think to me that's a little distracting. But overall, it's a good image. We'll see how it shakes out in the end. We'll leave it in for now, and then I'll make my final decision later.
All right, number 11, Down on the Farm.
And I'm trying, by the way, I'm trying to provide as much commentary as I can to these images. So when we go through them the next time, it'll just be in, out, in, out, in, out. And we'll be able to cull these down to the ones we need.
Yeah, and I'm just watching the time here. We're approaching 8 o'clock. So we might have to speed up the comments later on. We'll see.
Okay. We'll pick it up. So this one's a nice scenic. To me, I think it wasn't shot at the best time of day. It looks like it's pretty bright on those hay bales, and then they've darkened the sky. I don't know if that's a red filter or something, but I think for me, it's just the tonal range is a little off for a monochrome image. It's a decent composition, but I think it just doesn't jump out at me because of that light. It seems to be so harsh on it. So we're going to take this one out.
Image number 12, Drats.
So this one, I'm guessing that I'm supposed to chuckle at this, that I'm not allowed to picnic or enter the graveyard after dark. To me, I guess, comes across cliche. I guess it doesn't, I didn't chuckle at it. I think I was supposed to, but I think it's an interesting scene for someone to see this and kind of commentary on these signs in the graveyard. But to me, I think it's nice for a quick snapshot, not something I'd hang on my wall per se. So we're going to take this one out.
Image number 13, Floor Panorama Flip.
This one's really good. I don't think you needed the elaborate title. I would have just called it like Teardrop or something like that. But this one's really well done. I like the very graphic quality of this. I'm not too sure about the pillar at the bottom being so bright white compared to the rest of the photo. Would have rather be that toned down a little bit. It's all right. It's the brightest part of the image. That's fine. But I think it's just too bright for me. It kind of jumps out. And my eye seems to be fixated on that white comb at the bottom versus really exploring the whole image. So I just would tone that down a little bit. But overall, it's really well done, very creative. Really good with the composition and how you've cropped it in. So we'll leave this one in.
All right, image 14, Great Falls.
I like this one. This very, very kind of, I guess you kind of call it a high key, but low key, maybe middle key. It's with the jet black rocks and the bright white light on the flowing water. I think you've done a really good job there, making a very interesting photo. This waterfall. I think the crop is really good. I probably would crop off that little sliver on the top, the very first bank that the water is flowing over. I don't think you need that little bit of gray. A lighter gray, I would have rather have it kind of end at the darker gray there. That's right below it. So I just cropped just a sliver off the top. But overall, it's really nice. I will comment, because I'm a stickler for this kind of stuff. You got to spot your images. Looks like maybe you have some lens dust or sensor dust. Dead center, that main waterfall right below the dark triangular rock, there's kind of a circular speck, and then there's another one to the left of the big rock at the bottom, right up against the edge. So just clean up your spots on the image so we don't get those distracting elements. But overall, really well done. So we'll leave this one in.
Image 15, Keeping Watch.
So this one, I think, it's kind of a fun idea with the cop and the haunted house. I like how you darken the sky to kind of add to the moodiness. But for me, I think it's like you was taken in very harsh light, and you're trying to make something more interesting than what you saw, with just the harsh shadows over the word "the" on the left. So to me, I think it's interesting, but it wasn't not quite enough to grab my attention. So I think we're going to take this one out.
Image number 16, nude in tub.
So this one's good. I actually took a while going back to this one a couple of times. I like the lighting on the model here, and I think you've done a really good job. I like the hand placement there on the right side of the image. I think it just has a couple of technical misses on this one. The biggest one being on the left, we've cut off the model's toe. Usually that's a big no-no. We don't want to cut off the tips of fingers or tips of petals of flowers. The old adage is, crop like you mean it. So I really wish I could have seen that whole toe there. Also, we're seeing some really nice light on the forearm as well as the lower legs. But then, at least on my monitor, I'm seeing a slight, almost reddish tinge to the feet. I wish you could have smoothed those out either in your lighting or just in post-processing, just kind of smooth those out so I didn't have as much texture on that. I also debate whether we needed to see the second arm or the top of the head, something to fill that blank space in between the arm and the leg. I almost feel like you need a little something there. It's a neat idea. I definitely would love to copy this if I had a bathtub like that. Because I do some model work. So it's a neat idea, but I think we're just a few technical misses, so we're going to take this one out.
Image 17, nude.
Also back to that last one real quick, I also would have lightened up a little bit the shadow of the tub so you can see a little bit more shape of the tub and not have it be so jet black at the bottom. So this one's very nice. I like the position that you contorted the model into. Hopefully they were comfortable enough while you took this image. I'm not so sure about I like the angle of the leg forming the triangle. Not so sure about having that elbow coming straight down, basically kind of dividing the image in half. It's right there on the center line. But with the leg outstretched, it does kind of pull my eye to the right. And so I'm kind of on the fence about that. The one thing that's distracting for me is the bright nail polish this model has. And I don't know if you emphasize that or that just was turned out that way in how you processed it, but I would just go tone those nails down. So I don't want them to be the brightest part of the image, which they currently are. I'd rather have the light on the knee or the thigh to be the brightest part of the image. So I think you could just perfect this a little bit with a little bit of cleanup there. But overall, it's a good image, very interesting with this kind of graphic formed by the model. So we'll leave this one in.
Image 18, ocean rescue.
I like this one with the very interesting shape to the Coast Guard cutter. I think you've done a good job composing with the horizon and not having the bow of the boat kind of merged with that. You have it right below it. To me, I think the tonal range in this one for black and white seems off. The brightest white I could find on the image, other than maybe a few of the wave crests, is that buoy mounted to the front of the boat. My eye seems to kind of be drawn to that. It's a kind of big round shape and it's bright white. My eye goes right to there. Whereas I'd rather have it go to the men on the back of the boat or the waves crashing or something like that. And the boat overall just looks very kind of what we call like a muddled gray. Would like you to do a little bit more post-processing to bring out more detail and more tonal range across the boat as I'm looking at it. So I think you could rework this one, but as it stands, I'm going to take it out.
Image 19, onion.
So this is an interesting study. I like the lighting you've done here with the kind of raking across the onion with the bright spot and then kind of going into complete shadow. This one, again, much like the comments I made to the nude one, is I think it needs just a little bit of cleanup. When you're doing something simple like this that I'm assuming is in a studio that you have full control over, my expectations for perfection are a little higher. So you have a bunch of spots in the lower right on the whatever black material the onion was sitting on. You got to spot those out. I think the onion itself, although the skin is nice, I would have rather have a little bit more kind of sticking out the top of the onion and add a little bit more interest there. So it's a neat idea, but I think there's a few misses on this one. It's a good composition, but just a few misses. So we're going to take this one out.
Image 20, passing under the bridge.
So I've been to Paris, wonderful city. This image, I think for me, it's a lot going on. We have the boats in the water. We got this flock of people going across the bridge. We have a lot of dust spots or something up in the upper left-hand corner in the sky, almost like this was scanned from a slide or something like that. So to me, there's a lot going on. I'm not quite sure where my eyes are supposed to go, what I'm supposed to see, other than just a very crowded city scene. So between the dust spots and the kind of blank sky and just the overall busyness of it without a real focus, I'm going to take this one out.
Image 21, sound of peace.
So in this image, normally I think the person in the image would really make the image. For me, I think the person in the image actually is the least exciting part of the image. The sky is really wonderful, interesting cloud pattern. Love the beach and the water and the waves crashing. The problem with the person is they're jet black and they're not in an interesting kind of silhouette type position. So it's kind of like a black hole that my eye just kind of wants to go towards and kind of sink into. And because they're not in an interesting position, creating an interesting silhouette, I don't think it's where my eyes want to go. I'd rather they explore the rest of the image. So I think it's a neat idea. I think you just need to position yourself differently or wait for the person to position themselves differently so you have a little bit more interesting silhouette created by the person. So we're going to take this one out. It's unfortunate because I think if you photoshopped him out, it'd be a wonderful image without him.
Image number 22, standout.
So this is interesting because many of us probably seen stuff like this done before. You come across this scene, maybe you created it, maybe you found it. I think for something like this is another situation again where you have a lot of control and you need to kind of insert yourself into the image. So this one, I would rather that the dark leaf, maple leaf or whatever it is, there's one of the tips is ducked under one of the ginkgo leaves. I think it just needs to be positioned a little bit differently. Also, we have some bright ginkgo leaves on the left side of the image, upper left. I like those toned down. So I think this is one you could have just positioned things a little bit differently to make it more kind of jump out composition. So we're going to take this one out. Neat idea, though.
Image 23, stormy morning at the inlet.
So this is the other image I was talking about. It looks to be that same jetty with the same light fixture. I like the composition of this one a lot better. We have a little bit less of the jetty, so we can really kind of focus on the clouds, the two kids at play. I like how you've included the one buoy there out in the water. So I think the composition is really nice. The tone range is great. I think it needs I would have liked to have a little bit more space on the left, to the left of that buoy. I don't think we need quite all the space we have on the right of the rocks there, because I think your picture is there kind of on the left side. So I'd like to see a little bit more over there. But overall, it's really interesting. So we'll leave this one in.
Image 24, stretching out.
So this one, I think it's an okay image. Having the turtle dead center, I don't think works for this particular image. I think if we had been able to see a little bit more in the shadow and really appreciate some of the texture on his feet and stuff, or the lower part of the shell, might have made this more interesting. I don't think you need as much space as you've left on the top of the plain water. Rather, we've seen a little bit more of the reflection and the rippled water below. So you've really kind of bullseyed this turtle, and then the turtle I can't really appreciate due to the deep shadowing. So we're going to take this one out.
Image 25, tree BMA side.
So this one's interesting. Of all the monochromes we have in here, it is one chrome, right? It is all purple, so I guess it does count. It definitely stands out amongst the pack of the other black and whites and sepia tones. So this one's interesting. I think for me, having that little bit of branch in the upper left and then having so much white space, I don't think it's enough for me. I would rather have seen this as a, what do they call it, a triptych, or 3 photos. I'd like to see like 3 variations of this with more of the tree branch in different orientations and kind of side by side as a panel of 3. I think would have made it a more interesting image. I think just by itself with so much white space and not a lot of interesting detail in the cross lines of whatever framing that is, it just wasn't enough for me. But if you had some other images of this and you can make a collection, I think you might have something interesting here. So we're going to take this one out.
Image 26, watermelon.
I like the sepia tone that was done to this one. Kind of leads to the kind of old-fashioned look. For me, I think the composition isn't tight enough. I don't think you need to show the whole building on the left, the 2 windows. I think your picture is more the water wheel and the water kind of crashing over the wall there. But nicer if you had a little bit longer exposure so we get a little bit more flossiness to that water. But for me, I think it's just too wide a field of view. I would rather see you crop in a bit tighter. Maybe take off the left quarter of that main house, just crop in tighter so you can really kind of focus on where kind of the action is, because I don't think you need all this around. So I'm going to take this one out, but I think you could rework it and have something better.
Image number 27, wild salsify.
This one's okay. This is kind of a very common kind of scene, is shooting up at this kind of flower, this puff flower. It's interesting with all the little water droplets on it. I think for me, when you get something so simple like this and such a close-up, I really expect some really high detail in the flower there. And we see some detail in some spaces of places, but I'm not seeing enough fine detail throughout the image. I think your tonal range is good for black and white, but I think it needs to be sharpened more. Maybe in a post-processing program, you might be able to bring out more detail there. But as it is, it's not sharp enough. So we're going to take this one out.
Image number 28, World War II Memorial, Annapolis.
So this is interesting. I grew up in Maryland and spent most of my 40-some years of life in Maryland, and I haven't seen this one. So I don't know if it's relatively new or just didn't get to this part of Annapolis. But so thanks for showing me a part of my hometown that I'd never seen. So it's interesting. I like the sky. I like that you waited for a moment when the flags were blowing in the breeze so you could appreciate them and they weren't just draped on the flagpoles. You've done a good job with the tonal range across this image with some blacks and some whites. Overall, it's nice. I think to me, it's doesn't jump out at me as much as some of the other ones from a creative factor. It's just a nice kind of black and white kind of photojournalistic capture of this image, of this monument. So we'll leave it in for now, but I don't think it will float to the top of the rankings.
All right. And now for image number 29, Yana.
All right, so whoever did this one in studio obviously has a really good understanding of lighting of a model. I think the lighting on it is phenomenal. The lighting on her face is really good. I like the model's head placement and her eyes looking at us. There's a couple of misses on this one. The one I would rather see just a little bit more space below her bust line. I think just having the breast kind of right there at the bottom, it's just a little tight for me. Or if you have a slightly wider image of this, I would left a little bit more space at the bottom. Also allow you to appreciate a little bit more detail on the top that she's wearing. But the big distraction for me, although her face is lovely, and like I said, the lighting is really well done, it's her hand, her fingers. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. Is she reaching out to me? Is she kind of rolling a finger towards me like, hey, come here, I'm in this sexy top or whatever? But it's somewhere in between. And so that hand is really killing the image for me. It's unfortunate because everything else in the image is so nice. But just that hand and not understanding what is the connection she's trying to have with me. with that hand placement and the way the fingers are. I think it just really, unfortunately, takes away from the image. I'll leave this one in to see if it ends up an honorable mention, but if not, it's only that hand is the only thing that's hurting this image.
All right, let's see where we are. So we need 7 images, and we have more than 7.
A lot. All right, so I may just start battle axing through these. So let's take out, can I just call out numbers? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, so let's take out number 28, the World War II Memorial.
All right, just a second. So 28, World War II Memorial, out. That's not what I meant to happen.
Uh-oh.
I want to just take out the one image, not all of them. All right.
You want me to call out the numbers that we should have had left?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay. All right. We're going to have to take out number 29, the model I was just talking about. Like I said, everything else about it's so lovely, but that hand is that's the downfall of that image.
All right.
It's getting tougher. We'll take out number 10, the angel. Again, like I said, it's just a little bit too pale for me.
All right.
But that could probably be reworked.
We're down to 12 images.
Yep. Although I like it in some ways, as I mentioned, when I take out the tractor, number 1.
All right.
Now it's really getting tough because these are all, everything that's left is actually is really nice. We're going to take out number 4, the canyon rim.
Number 4, canyon rim. All right.
Oh boy.
If it's easier, you can start placing them and see what falls out.
Yeah. No, I'd rather just keep axing. That would be easier. I think we're going to take out the number 2, the marble statue.
Okay, so that's this one right there. 2.
A round
the
statue.
round marble carving, out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I like that one, but we have some other stronger images in here.
We need to take out 2 more.
2 more. Okay. Desert oil rig is going to have to go out. It's a nice image. Just the other ones I like a little bit better.
All right, 1 more.
And unfortunately, we're going to have to take out the nude. Nothing wrong with the nude. Totally fine with that. Just those fingernails and that arm dead center. I think those are kind of downfalls for me.
All right, now we have 7 images left. We need 1st through 4th and 3 honorables.
Yep. I'm just kind of getting them set to my head here. All right, so honorable mention number 23, the storm inlet.
All right.
Honorable mention number 3, bathing beauty. Honorable mention number 5, chaotic.
That's the right one. Number 5, chaotic.
Honorable mention number 8.
Nope. We're now on 4th place.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's right. 4 places. Great. So number 8, the DC building angles will be number 4, 4th place. Third place will be the number 14, Great Falls. Second place will be number 7, Dahlia. And then that makes first place number 13, the floor flip thing.
Yeah, floor panorama flip. All right.
That was really tough. Those top leftover 10 or so were really all really well.
All right.
Really good.
Let me run through this for everyone. So honorable mention to Stormy Morning at the Inlet by Mike Thomas, me. Honorable mention to Bathing Beauty by Kathy Hockle. Honorable mention to Chaotic by Louis Sapienza. I believe that's correct. Double check that. Help if I could find it on my list, my great big list. I don't see it there. So anyway, I'm pretty sure that's Lewis. Fourth place to Building Angles by David Joyner. I need like an applause track. This is so uneventful with just talking. There you go. All right. Third place to Great Falls by Richard Stolarski.
Good job, Richard.
Second place, Diala by Kathy Hockle.
Good job, Kathy.
And ta-da, first place to Floor Panorama Flip by Bob Weber. So that's your warm up for the color competition.
Yeah, well, I'll pick up you guys want to get out of here by 9? Is that what you're striving for?
We have 15 novice color and we have 30 unlimited color. So probably pick it up just a little bit.
We'll pick it up. Okay.
All right. So let me, on novice color, we have 15. So we'll be needing a first through fourth and 2 honorables. And that
so total of 6. Great.
Right. So I will run through these for the audience. Image number 1, Caterpillar Ancestry. Number 2, Charles Bridge. Number 3, Green Eyes. Number 4, Hopper. Number 5, Inside, Outside, Behind. Number 6, Moody. Number 7, Ocean Waves. Number 8, Philly Clock. Number 9, Prairie Dog Lunch. Number 10, 6 Feet Apart. Number 11, Smiling Cormorant. Number 12, Spiderweb. Number 13, Sunset. Number 14, Transparency. And number 15, Valley Forge. All right, we will start with number 1.
All right, so I'll pick up the pace a little bit. I've already kind of made my points known, so when I make comments, hopefully the people make sense to you. So this first one, I like this composition. I like how the shape of the caterpillar is kind of mirrored in the black of whatever that formation is on the rock on the upper left. It's kind of a yin-yang kind of look to it. I think you've done a good job with the composition of the white part of the rock versus the yellow-orange part of the rock. So overall, really interesting image. It gives you a lot to look at. So we'll keep this one in.
Number 2, Charles Bridge.
So number 2, the bridge. So this one, I think for me, this is another one where we need to crop in a little tighter and figure out what is the image we're trying to show here. I think it's not, for me, it's not wide enough to really be a full kind of landscape showing the whole waterway. So it's kind of what I call an in-between image. It's not quite a tight-in image, but it's not a super wide shot either. So for me, I don't think the boat at the dock there, the water, the bridge, I don't think any of that is particularly all that interesting. For me, your photo is from the bridge level up. The top half of those buildings, the 2 spires, the wonderful changing colored leaves in the trees. So I would crop this as a square and have your bottom be right at that bridge level so you don't see the bridge anymore, and it's just the top half of those buildings. And I think that would make for a more compelling image than what's presented here. So we'll take this one out.
Image number 3, green eyes.
So as I've mentioned before, if you're doing kind of close-up detailed shots, you really got to nail your focus. And for me, this one's just a bit too unsharp. Usually I can go with sharp enough, but this one, it seems like maybe you cropped in really tight on an image, and so you lost a lot of sharpness and resolution. The other thing that's kind of disappointing is on the left side of the image, that other brown stalk. It's very distracting having such a heavy element on the left side of the frame when I don't have something on the right to balance it. And then of course the wing merges across that. So a couple of technical issues with this one, so we'll take that one out.
Number 4, hopper.
So this one's a better attempt at a close-up of an insect. You've cropped off the top of the antennae at the top, but that's not too bad because the grasshopper, cricket, whatever it is, it's got a lot of interesting character to it. For me, it's not as sharp as maybe I would have liked. I'd call it sharp enough. But for me, the main distraction is on the right side. We're seeing what appears to be maybe a road or something behind it. I really wish you had positioned yourself differently, so all we saw was just the green branches behind it. So you could probably just crop that out and make it more of a vertical panoramic aspect ratio, and I think that would strengthen the image. So we're going to take this one out just because that right side is very distracting.
All right. Image number 5, inside, outside, behind.
Yes, it's an interesting title, and I like this one. I comment on some of the other images that were too busy, and I didn't know where my eye was to land. This one, I think it works because it's more of an abstract. I don't necessarily am trying to identify things. So if I look close, I can see the bell and the watchtower and stuff like that. My only little kind of minor comment to this is I would crop off a little bit of the right side where there's white shutter or whatever it is, whatever framing of the house is. So we're kind of more balanced. We see on the left side that off-white framing of the window. I'd like to see the right side of the image end at that same place. So it's a little bit more balanced. But very interesting C. So we're gonna leave this one in.
Image number 6, moody.
So really well seen here to see the light on this. It looks like some old Renaissance painting with the light raking across from the window. You don't quite notice at first that it's the top of a toilet because you've done a good job cropping out that handle and keeping that in shadow. For me, the thing that really kills this image, it's unfortunate because the lighting's so nice, the jar, the flowers are so nice. It's that second jar on the right. Looks like a handmade pottery with some type of stones or seashells or something in it. And it doesn't go with the composition at all. Hey, is there a beer for me too?
Sorry.
Sure, pop top. So I think for this is a game where I consider this like a studio shot where you have ultimate control over everything in the image. I would have had you take off that piece of handmade pottery because it really detracts from the image. It's so different shape, it's different colors, different texture, just doesn't fit with the rest of the image, the nice, beautiful curves and white, clean lines of the other vase and the toilet lid top. We'll leave this one in, but if it doesn't rank very high, it's because that piece of pottery. So go pull that piece of pottery out and reshoot your bathroom.
All right, image number 7, ocean waves.
So this seems like a photo I would see. I call this a snapshot. This is something I'd post on my Facebook page after a vacation to show people, oh, look how bright the sky was and look at all the people playing in the ocean, everyone having a good time. But for a competition, I'm not seeing something for me to kind of focus on other than it's just a scenic snapshot. I think you need to focus in a little closer on either the woman in the pinkish red top on the left or the mom talking with her kid or coaxing the kid into the water on the right. Something so I have something for my eye to focus on a little bit more instead of this kind of snapshot. And then we have the horizon almost dead center. And I think you could crop out half that sky. You don't need all that sky. So let's take this one out.
All right. Image number 8, Philly clock.
So I like that the photographer did a good job of making sure that the surrounding branches of whatever tree you were probably standing under are not overlapping the clock. But for me, I think the composition is not right for this one. Again, I think it's an in-between. It's not quite wide enough to really get me to appreciate the whole building, but I don't think it's tight enough to get me to appreciate some of the details on that clock and the surround of it. With the tree branches, the bell tower, whatever is above it that I'm not seeing the whole thing of. I think you just need to go in tighter on this. So if you have high enough resolution, I'd try to zoom in on this and crop in tighter, maybe make something a little bit more abstracty out of it than what you showed here. So let's take this one out.
Number 9, prairie dog lunch.
So I think I've taken a picture of the same two prairie dogs. I think this is at either the Baltimore or the National Zoo. They have a little habitat there. They are all over the place in Colorado, and the locals hate them because their holes are dug everywhere. But they are kind of so cute. And the photographer's done a good job of zooming in here, getting really sharp on these two prairie dogs, especially particularly a fat one there. I'm glad to see he's eating lettuce. He needs to lose a little bit. But it's a really nicely done photo. I'd maybe darken the background just a hair. So really just keep the focus on the two prairie dogs, and maybe a little bit more space on the right so his tail of that right prairie dog wasn't right up on the edge. But overall, really well done photo. We'll leave this one in.
Image number 10, 6 feet apart.
So this is a clever idea. So I think this one, you needed to do a little bit more manipulation of the scene. That chair on the right, I don't like how it merges with the one behind it. I would have rather seen that kind of pulled more towards the center of the image, so it seemed like a little bit more space differently, or maybe just position yourself differently. So I think last year this image wouldn't have necessarily spoken to me, but this year with COVID and obviously the title there, I think it speaks to our environment that we're living in today, but I think it's a little bit of a missed attempt. I think you can rework the scene a little bit more and bring something more out of it. So we're going to take this one out, but I think I'd recommend go back and redo this with a little bit more spacing between the chairs.
All right. Image number 11, smiling cormorant.
So another good shot of a bird. The downside of this one is the sharpest part of this image is those bright feathers on the right wing there. It seems to be much sharper than what I'm seeing in the face and the beak of the bird, and I'd rather see the face to be the sharpest part of the image. I think your crop is off too. I don't think you need to show the left wing and the left plumage there on his back. I would have rather cropped in a little bit tighter on that, so there's a little bit more head, a little bit more offset to the side. I don't think you need to show that other wing or a little bit of wing you showed. So I think if you can recrop this and maybe sharpen up the face a little bit more, it'd be more successful, but as it stands, we'll take it out.
Image number 12, spider web.
Interesting shot of a spider, a very colorful spider. To me, I think I'd like to see a little bit more of the web. I really like that one strand towards the top third with some nice specular highlights on it. I would have liked to see you position yourself a little bit differently so that more light would hit more of the web, and so we could appreciate that versus just the large areas of green on the lower left corner and the top third. I think when you're doing something like this, you really just want to make sure you bring out the full environment and really showcase the web as well as the spider, since you are doing a wider shot versus a tight up shot on the spider itself. So I think this one's a little bit of a miss, so we'll take this one out.
Image number 13, sunset.
So this is, good job catching the sunset. I know these are hard with the dramatic exposure range. For me, I think the problem is you put the horizon dead center, and for this image, it doesn't work. I like the lower half of the image, the ripples on the water, the colors there. I like the clouds and the light reflecting the clouds right above the sun. But that top half of the sky with just the big gray, black swatches of clouds is just not interesting. I think it really detracts from your image. So I'd rather see you crop out half that sky, just right below those dark clouds, and just focus on the sunset and the beautiful reflection. And so I think you could crop this a little differently and be a lot more successful. So we'll take this one out.
Image number 14, transparency.
So this one's very interesting. Congrats to the photographer for looking up and kind of seeing this with the feet there and the translucent floor. This one, again, also needs a different crop. I think a square crop would be more beneficial in this one. I like the strong angles I'm seeing on the right 2/3 of the image with the floor and the people standing on it. But then on the left side, we have this curved structure. And then I'm seeing, I guess, what is the Apple sign? Must be like the Apple store in New York or something. And I don't think you need that. I think having all these sharp angles and then going to a curve and showing a building in the background, I think those extra elements don't add to the photo and rather they take away from the photo. So I'd crop this as a square and cut out those elements on the left side of the photo and be more compelling. I like the sky and everything. So we're gonna take this one out, but I think it's fixable with a different crop.
All right, image number 15, Valley Forge.
So the overall composition of this one is nice with the milkweed at the bottom and the deer there, and then you've done a good job fading out the background with the forest there. Not a big fan of that bright kind of log or whatever is in the upper left corner in the background. I try to tone that down. The big thing for me is the animal is facing away from the image, from the viewer of the image. And if there's something interesting to see from behind, like its tail was up and it was running and you see the bright flash of white when their tails are up, it was in motion, like it's running away from me. Maybe that might have made the image more compelling, but him just facing the wrong way and not getting to appreciate his face, I don't need to see his butt, I guess. It's not as interesting to me. So we're gonna take this one out.
All right, Greg, we have to have a serious discussion. We have 15 images. You have kept 4 in.
Oh no!
And so we have first through fourth and 2 honorables.
Oh boy.
You've been a little over zealous in your selections.
All right, well, I can at least give you the 4, and then I'll pull back up the full set, and I'll give you a couple of honorable mentions.
All righty.
So let me just go ahead and rank these since this is what I have up in front of me as the 4.
Okay.
First place is going to be the number 9, Prairie Dogs.
All right.
Second place will be number 1, Caterpillar. Third place will be the number 5, Inside, Outside, Everywhere, Annapolis. And then
fourth place.
Fourth place, sorry, would be the Moody.
All right.
All right, so now let's pull up all the photos again. Let me give you 2 honorable mentions. Two honorable mentions will be number 11, the Smiling Cormorant, and number 14, the Transparency.
14, the transfer. There we go. So let's pop this up. All right. The results of our novice color digital competition tonight are honorable mention to Smiling Cormorant by Julie Bennett. Honorable mention to Transparency by Elaine Hambley. I believe it's Elaine. Let me double check. Yeah. Congratulations. Fourth place to Moody, also by Elaine Hambley. Third place to Inside, Outside, Behind by Susan Weber.
Good job, Susan.
Second place to Caterpillar Ancestry by Terry Jackson. TJ, that's Terry Jackson. I'm sorry, I
Ah,
forgot your initials earlier. Terry Jackson.
good job, Terry.
And first place, Prairie Dog Lunch for Paul Wilcox. Congratulations, Paul.
Good job, Paul.
All right, we're in the home stretch.
All right.
We're moving into unlimited color. We
And
have
there's a lot of
30
them.
images.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the most we've had. All right, so I'm going to go through these for the audience. I'll try and go through reasonably quick, a couple of seconds each. Image number 1, a view outside. Image number 2, all aboard. Image number 3, beauty amidst the ruins. Image number 4, bubble. Image number 5, Katrina. Image number 6, dragonfly for lunch. Image number 7, Ulakala Falls, July 2020. Image number 8, elegant orchid. Image number 9, gotcha. Image number 10, hang 10. Image number 11, Havana morning. Image number 12, insatiable appetite. Image number 13, Kinder Park bluebird. Image number 14, last cast. Image number 15, lilies. Image number 16, Lou with a view. Image number 17, lotus abstract. Image number 18, mallard. Image number 19, mica cloud reflection. Image number 20, Olivia. Image number 21, pollen time. Image number 22, purple bud. Image number 23, red rose stack, 65. Image number 24, roadside rest stop. Image number 25, ruby-throated hummingbird. Image number 26, sunset. Image number 27, web of solitude. Image number 28, wood duck decoy. Image number 29, wrath. And image number 30, World War II memorial. That's what you're working with. So we'll go back to image number 1, view outside.
All right, so I'll do all my comments. I won't take as many out this time, so I can just look at the thumbnails at the end and make sure we have everything we need to work with. So I'm sorry, what are my totals I'm looking for? First through fourth and what?
And 3 honorables.
Plus 3. Okay. All right, so back to image number 1. So this one's clever. I'm not quite sure what exactly it is, but so I guess I kind of treat it like an abstract with this sphere with this interesting kind of purple color to it. And so I thought this one was very clever. At first I started thinking about what is it, and then I kind of stopped and said, we'll just treat it like an abstract. So it's really well done with the composition. It's just very interesting. So we'll keep this one in.
Image number 2, all aboard.
So this is a nice kind of classic shot of an old-fashioned train going across a bridge. So you've set yourself up nicely here. I think your crop is a little off. I'd rather see a little bit more space on the left behind the rear passenger car and a little less space on the right. I don't think that 3 rocks there in the lower right corner, I don't think you need that in the image, nor do you need those couple of trees poking in. So I think your crop is a little off. And the image seems overall a little flat to me. It needs a bit more contrast, especially on a jet black engine like that. I'd like to see that really pop out of the image as being one of the blackest blacks in the image versus right now it's the shadow under the bridge is the blackest black. So a couple of technical things, so we'll take this one out.
Image number 3, beauty amidst the ruins.
So it's an interesting composition. I think for me, it's a half and half image, right? I have the top half of the image is the ruins, and the bottom half is the grasses with the flowers. You've been there at a good time of day, nice lighting. I'm not a fan of how the flowers end abruptly right at the bottom of the castle. I would have rather have them spaced. Either you as a photographer stand up a little bit so that they don't merge right with the edge there, or go down lower so that they actually overlap the castle and really kind of tie the 2 pieces of the image together. So it's a very beautiful scene. I think just your angle was not the best to really kind of capture these 2 elements. So we'll take this one out.
Image number 4, bubble.
So this one's really clever. Be curious to learn later how you did. You have to send me an email. This one's really interesting. I like the kind of colors here. We got this kind of bright top, and then the interesting white with the black swirls at the bottom and the banding then in the middle. So it's very clever. Another interesting abstract. So we'll keep this one in. So this one, the lighting on the model is okay. I think and I don't know how much of this is your lighting, how much is this the woman's complexion. The image overall, her skin tone comes across as very orange. So I think your white balance is a little off. I'm guessing based on what I see, she's probably kind of a middle tone skinned woman, but she's coming off kind of glowing, an unnatural orange. That's not appealing. I think your crop is really good. The other thing is the bright red lipstick. I don't think for this model it works for this image and this lighting setup. It's popping out, and I don't, based on her expression and the way you've composed the image, I'd rather it not. So I think in post-processing, you could go in and selectively tone down those red lips and maybe adjust your white balance a little bit. And then you'd be able to perfect this image as it stands. So we'll take this one out, but it looks like it's fixable.
All right, image number 6, dragonfly for lunch.
So it's a really nice composition here. I like how you've positioned yourself such that the bird's body isn't merging with the wood there. It looks very heavily processed, like you're trying to bring out extra sharpness. There's some weird kind of banding lines kind of in the clouds kind of surrounding the bird. I don't know if there's some sort of weird masking or something you were doing, but you kind of see these wavy lines. So it makes it look very artificial. So and maybe that was the look you're going for, more of a painterly look. But to me, it looks like something I'd see as a stuffed animal in a museum versus something I call out in nature. We'll leave it in for now, just because I don't want to be too much of a battle axe like last round, but it might not make it to the top.
Image number 7, Alakala Falls, July 2020.
So this is an interesting scene, and I've been here. I know people like to do the long exposure with the swirl there. I sound like a broken record again, but to me, we're 2 images. I'm not seeing them all kind of put together. I think in this case, you just needed a little wider frame. I think the vertical framing is okay. I think you need to see a little bit more space on either side to really get a kind of full picture of the falls with the swirl in the center. It's just very tight in, and I'm seeing kind of 2 images. And I kind of want to just cut the image in half. And I think either image by itself would be all right. I think it just needs a little more space on the sides. So we're going to take this one out.
Elegant orchid, number 8.
So this is nicely done. I'm not sure if this is post-processing, just how you lit these flowers, but they really pop off the page. They almost come across looking a little artificial, but I think in this case, where you're trying to just a graphic representation, a very kind of pretty, bold picture, it works out fine. Normally, you like to see 3 of something versus 2 flowers and a stick, but I think it's done well overall. We'll leave this one in.
Number 9, gotcha.
So sad for the little minnow there. So you've done a good job kind of freezing the action here. Looks like you had some bright sunlight on the bird, on the heron, and you've done a good job of not blowing out the white feathers. To me, the background is just very distracting. We've got a lot of crisscrossing of lines, and I think you need a much shallower depth of field to really blur that background out a bit more. You might be able to go out in post-processing and kind of soften that, especially those 2 diagonal wreaths there at the bottom right. So I think it just makes it kind of busy. So we're going to take this one out.
Image number 10, hang 10.
Right, so I talked about with the boy at bat on the first category about the decisive moment. And this one, I think it's, again, you've missed the moment. It seems like it looks like he's about to wipe out because it doesn't quite look like his feet are on the board, and it looked like he's screaming that he's going to face plant into wave. I guess I would have liked to see this just a hair of a second later when maybe he's reached out like he's about to fall into the water, or we can clearly see that he's falling off the board. But right now it looks almost like it's been photoshopped, where it's been flipped, because the positioning looks weird. I'm not quite getting what I think you're trying to have me get out of this image. So I think the moment is just a little off. So we're going to take this one out.
Number 11, Havana Morning.
So this one's a really nice composition. We're getting some interesting lighting with the different temperatures of the outside light versus the hallway light. So that allows you to bring a lot of attention to that stairway. It's an overall well-composed image, very nice. It's a bit grainy, but I'm guessing you're shooting in available light, so you're probably a high ISO, but I think it works all right for this particular image, so we'll leave it in.
Number 12, Insatiable Appetite.
This is kind of clever with the storefront of the restaurant with the shark sticking out of it, and he's kind of looking at the bird there on the right. I'm not a big fan of the chain or whatever is hanging out of his mouth. Would have rather you clone that out. This being a more advanced group, I expect a little bit more finer detail control. So to me, this one is where you're taking a picture of someone else's artistry, and I'm not quite sure you're bringing your own stamp to it, other than catching the little bird in the corner. So I think the composition isn't as good as it could be. Maybe the bird would need to be closer to his mouth or something. So we'll take this one out.
Number 13, Kinder Park Bluebird.
Real pretty picture of this bird. Looks like we've lost a lot of resolution here. It's sharp enough, but it looks pretty pixelated, like you've cropped in pretty high. I would like to see clone out the 2 star screws on either side, because those are pretty bold and jump out from the wood and really pull my eye away from the bird. So a couple of technical issues on this one, and the bright white spot on the right. So we're going to take this one out.
Number 14, Last Cast.
This one's really clever. I haven't seen anything like this kind of composition with the Boeing rod surrounding the sunset. So that's really nice. Really nicely seen, nice idea. So we'll leave this one in.
Number 15, Lilies.
This one, much like that very first novice class we saw with the flowers and the white, we have a lot of dead space in between the lily pads, and I don't think it necessarily adds to this image. I think I'd like to see a tighter crop in on just these front 5 lily pads. I don't think you need to show the little edges of the ones in the back. So I think these come in tighter. Pretty bright light on those lily pads. If you can tone that down at all in post-processing, that would help make them not so white, and you could appreciate the coloring there a bit more. So we'll take this out, do those technical issues.
Number 16, Lou with a View.
So this is really nice. The title, I try not to pay attention to the titles because I want to kind of appreciate the image for what it is. But the title is kind of humorous, made me chuckle a little bit, thinking someone's in a cabin or maybe on a train and looking out the window. So very interesting with the raindrops on the outside of the window adds another element to what would otherwise be just another scenic. So really well done. I like this one. We'll keep it in, move on.
Number 17, Lotus Abstract.
This one's kind of neat. I've done some stuff like this. The photos I take, and I really struggle with what's the right composition on these. And I think for this one, you've included this extra fourth petal at the bottom, and I don't think there's enough of it there to really add to the image. To me, it seems like a peeper. It's the encroacher, a photobomber coming in at the bottom there, especially since it's a bit darker than the other petals with that bright black spot and the red rim. So I don't think it's adding to your photo. I think you need to crop that out and just include the other three that you remain there. But it's a lovely light on it. We'll leave it in for now, but if it goes out, it's because that bottom fourth petal.
Image number 18, Mallard.
Nice job with this bird. Looks like some kind of early morning light on him. You've done a good job controlling the light on him. To me, I would have liked to see that his right wing a little bit more prominent in the picture. Right now, we're just seeing that little triangle of it. So I think the wing placement isn't as optimal as it could be. But you've done a good job getting pretty sharp. This is another image that for advanced class, I'd expect you to go in and do a little spotting. We got little bits of bubbles and debris and stuff in the water that I think take away from that background. I'd clean up some of those spots, just get rid of those. But we'll leave it in for right now.
Number 19, Mica Cloud Reflection.
So this one's really nice, kind of abstract-ish kind of quality to it. Really well seen. I think this one's good overall. I don't really have anything bad to say about it, so let's move on.
Number 20, Olivia.
So really nice lighting on this portrait of this young lady. To me, I think the issue here is the 2/3 portrait. I would have rather seen you come in tighter on her. You have her hands placed in it doesn't look very natural for her, kind of placing her hands like that. It's kind of very classic posing, but I don't think you need that. I think for me, the photo is right at her waistline and up, basically the top 2/3 of the photo. You've done a good job darkening the background and beautiful light on her. She's got a nice little smile. So I think this one just needs to crop in a little tighter. We're going to leave it for now, but if it doesn't make it higher in the ranks, it's because it needs a little tighter crop.
Number 21, Pollen Time.
This is a really nice job, close up, really great detail on the bee. I like your composition. It's not particularly unique or creative. I see a lot of photos like this with this kind of 2/3 of a flower and then a nice close-up of a bee. So it's a good job of a kind of common scene. So we'll leave it in for now, but if it doesn't get one of the top spots, that's why. It's just not unique enough than some of the other images.
Image number 22, Purple Bud.
This one, we see the brightest part is right there on the middle of the flower. I'd rather brightness be on the right side of the flower, or maybe appreciate those water droplets a little bit more, which aren't as sharp as I would have liked. I think this one's a nice attempt, but it's not sharp or bright in the places that it needs to be. So we're going to take this one out.
Number 23, Red Rose Stack 65.
So I wonder if the stack 65 means it's 65 images for hyperfocal distancing, because it's really as sharp throughout the image. For me, the issue is you didn't pick the best specimen. I would have liked to see in that lower right corner another big triangular petal sticking out to balance that out. As it stands now, I have this big black spot that kind of takes away. We'll leave it in for now so I don't take out too many this time, but let's move on.
All right, number 24, roadside rest stop.
Done a good job here with the exposure, with capture. I don't know if it's I'm guessing it's HDR or something like that. Capture good shadow detail on the covered bridge, as well as great lighting, not blowing out the clouds in the background. Overall, the composition is really nice. For me, it's the two motorcyclists. There's lots of mergers. I can't quite see what's going on. The way the perspective is kind of pointing me right to the two motorcyclists, but I can't really appreciate their bikes or them because they're just a big blob in the middle without any kind of clear interaction of what's going on. So that's really unfortunate that beautiful rest of the scene, and then the people that you tried to add for interest are actually kind of detracting from the image. So we're going to take this one away.
Image number 25, ruby-throated hummingbird.
This one's a nice job with hummingbirds, super fast. So you really got to get your focus and shutter speed right. I like how there's a slight blur to the wings so that we can see that, yes, it is flapping 1,000 times a second or however fast they flap. Good sharpness. The lighting is a bit bright, but I'd say it's good enough lighting. I think for the right side of the image, the right of the flower, you don't need that much dead space. I cut out half that dead space. And that would make the composition a little tighter and get that flower out of the almost dead center. So we'll leave it in for now, but that right side needs to be cropped off.
Image number 26, sunset.
This is much like the other sunset image we saw where I said you have this dark cloud at the top. I don't think you need that. I'd crop off the top third of that sky to get out that dark cloud. So really you can focus on the backlighting of the other clouds at the bottom and the rays, because that's where the interest of the photo is. So I'm going to take this one out, but I think if you recropped it, it would be a lot better.
Image number 27, web of solitude.
All right, so I'm seeing different initials at the end, so it must be a different photographer. So happy to see that you have so many people in your club that do work with models. It's kind of refreshing. So it's an interesting image. To me, I think the crop is not right. I sound like a broken record with my cropping, but that right part of the image with the big bit of white forming the kind of spider web, there's a little bit too much there. I don't need to see the bit of black on the edge. I'd crop off half of that. I like her face and her hand kind of breaking through the web, but I don't think we need to see her left arm, the one here down the lower right. So I'd crop that out too, and just come in a bit tighter. And also we're seeing her face seems kind of somber. She's kind of looking down, but then her hand is kind of breaking through the web. And so I'm kind of confused. Is she at peace in the web, or is she trying to break free of the web? Her hand and her face are not connected in the story maybe you're trying to tell here. So I'm going to take this one out.
Image number 28, wood duck decoy.
So this is really fun. I don't know if this was lit this way with different colored gels or it's actually spray painted these fun colors. But this is just a nice fun image. It's not a first place image, but it's just, to me, it's very pleasing to look at, very interesting. That bit of bright green right below its beak, I'd clone that out or soften that so it's not so bright, and maybe a little bit of the bright white spot around its throat area. But overall, it's just a nice, fun, pleasing image to look at. So leave that one in.
All righty. Image number 29, wrath.
It's really a nice job with this lightning. Looks like a long exposure because we're seeing some blur in the stars up there. So we know it's over 20-second exposure when you get the blur in the streak in the stars. So really nice to capture all the multiple lightning bolts. Again, I'd say this is one that was a candidate for a square crop. All your interest is right there in the middle. I don't need to see as much on the right or the left. The left side, we have this dark kind of sliver of cloud and this bright white cloud. I don't think those add to your image. I'd rather see that cropped out as a square, and then I think that's your image in a bit tighter to cut off those edges a little bit. We'll leave it in for now because that's a minor issue compared to some of the other ones.
All right. Image number 30, World War II Memorial.
A nice job with this long exposure here, the streaking. You've done a good job with the lighting. I like how you included the two people on the right. Kind of like the motorcycles, I prefer there be a little bit of a separation or be able to show them facing each other, show a little more interaction. Excuse me, but overall, I think it's a good job. I like it for a night scene. So let's leave it in, and that's the last one. So let's
It is. So let's see what we're at. Yeah.
Oh, I got a lot. Okay.
Well, you've got 17.
All right. So now the battle axe comes out. So we'll start shopping some out. So we're going to take out number 17, Lotus Abstract.
Make sure I'm getting it. All right. And thanks for referring to them by number and the full name.
Okay, good. Yeah, I hope that will be helpful. We're going to take out number 6, Dragonfly Lunch, just because it's too overprocessed. Going to take out number 23, the red 65 stack, because missing that pedal. Maybe you could Photoshop that in.
The red rose stack 65.
Yeah.
All right.
Now it gets tough because the rest of these are all nice. We take out number 18, the mallard. Wish I could see the other wing, and maybe the lighting could have been a little better. All right, we're going to take out number 28, Mr. Wood Duck. He's nice to look at, but a few little cleanups, and he'd be still in contention. Still got twice too many pictures.
Not exactly. You need to get rid of 5.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take out number 14, Last Cast. I think if you brightened up the shadows a little bit in the right corner, maybe make that image just a little bit more balanced. I'm starting to split hairs here. Everything that's left is really nice images. And take out number 25, Ruby Hummingbird. Sorry, Mr. Hummingbird.
All right, 25, Ruby Throated Hummingbird. All right. 3 more.
All right, I know they're by different photographers. I'm not comparing one to the other, but I'm going to take out, hold on. All right, I'm going to take out number 21, the Pollentine.
Two more.
Oh gosh, killing me. I'm killing you guys, I guess. We'll take out number 30, World War II Memorial. Nicely done. I think the other ones just had a bit more creativity and something unique to them. But it's a well done night shot, long exposure. And the last one, I have poor Olivia, number 20. It's going to have to go, but I think if you cropped in and take out those her forearms, you'd have a better portrait there.
All right, now we're down to placement.
All right. So let me figure out what my top places are going to be here. All right, honorable mention, number 29, Raph.
All right.
Honorable mention, number 4, Bubble.
All right.
Honorable mention, number 8, Elegant Orchid. And honorable mention.
Nope. This will be
sorry,
fourth.
I get 4th place.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. Okay, good. I did those in order then. Excellent. So fourth place is going to be number 11, Havana Night. And then third place is going to be the number 1 abstracty ball thing.
A view outside.
View
All
outside,
right.
yeah.
So
Sorry, the way I have them displayed, the titles are crunched down, so I'm not getting the full title.
Yeah.
So that means number 2 is going to be the 16, Lou with a View. And making first place, number 19, Micah Reflection.
Excellent. All right. So the first honorable mention tonight for our unlimited color digital is Wrath by John Milliger, taken on a recent field trip out to West Virginia for nighttime photography.
Oh, nice.
Another honorable mention to Bubble for Mary Lou Burleson.
Okay, nice job.
Honorable
Very
mention,
creative.
honorable mention to Elegant Orchid by, I have to look at my notes because
ACW.
I haven't memorized all the JCW from JC Williams. I'm sorry. Yeah, JC Williams. There we go. And then our fourth place to Havana Morning to Greg Hockle.
Good
Well
job,
done.
Greg.
Well done, Greg. Third place to A View Outside by David Joyner.
Very creative, David.
Second place to Lou with a View by Chuck Gallegos.
Good job of thinking of other things when you're on the toilet.
And first place to Micah Cloud Reflection by David Joyner. Excellent.
Good job, everyone.
Excellent. A lot of great images tonight. So
Yeah, that was the toughest category by far. A lot of good stuff there. Really splitting hairs there at the end.
Yeah, thank you so much, Greg, for taking the time to join us and go through our images and share your insights and your constructive input. We really do appreciate it. That constructive criticism is worth more than the points we get for ribbons. So just wanted to let you know we appreciate that, and I'm jealous that you're in Colorado and not me.
Yeah,
so.
it is beautiful out here. Lots of outdoor, and the big thing we notice is the work-life balance, that the chaotic hecticness we were used to outside of DC, it's not as prevalent here. People definitely enjoy their time off. Friday afternoons at my work is a ghost town. People leave early, go out and enjoy the outside, since it's right at our doorstep. So it's definitely been a quality of life increase, not just a really good job promotion and good job. We actually both got. I came out here for the job, and thankfully my wife found a really good job as well. So
Excellent. And one of my favorite places is Garden of the Gods down at.
Yep, I've been down there. You got to go there at sunrise. So for me, that means getting up at like 4 in the morning because it's about an hour and a half drive to get down there.
And one of our
beautiful.
One of our club members, Elaine Hambley, is moving down there in November, so she'll be
Nice.
able to take advantage of the scenery too. So again, thank you so much, everyone. That's a wrap on our contest for tonight. I'm sorry for the initial technical difficulties. This is John's job, but I'm filling in tonight, and maybe next time I'll get it a little smoother at the beginning. All right, everyone, thanks so much.
And thanks for inviting me again. I really appreciate the opportunity to see all these great images.
All right. Good night, Greg.
Good night, everyone.